Hello, poetry lovers. The video tonight shows the creation of a new piece titled May Inventory. Stick around to the end of the video to see the complete first draft of this new poem. This poem was kind of a random event. In the first line, I referenced seeing a picture that a friend posted on social media of a catalpa tree in their yard that was in full bloom. This image brought to mind, as it always does for me, W.D. Snodgrass's poem, April Inventory. If you haven't read this piece and you'd like to, I've included a link in the description below. Snodgrass begins his piece by stating that the green catalpa tree has turned all white, and goes on to describe some of the surrounding scenery in April and to contrast natural beauty and renewal with his own aging. When I saw this image my friend shared, it made me think about comparisons and contrasts with my own inner state and the natural world around me. That's where this poem came from, and it's explicitly built on Snodgrass's piece and intended to serve as a kind of personal counterpoint to his poem. For that reason, in a slightly unusual turn for me, I had a title in mind before the poem was written, and it was the first thing I wrote. As I often do, I chose free verse for this poem. I wanted the liberty to greatly vary line length near the end of the poem and to make full use of enjambment without worrying about rhyming. Snodgrass's piece is, as you might know, rhyming sestets or 6-line stanzas, which consist of a quatrain and a final couplet in each sestet. This works well for his themes of increasing maturity and deeper insight into life's big truths, but I wanted to work against that feeling and give a more conversational and relaxed tone. This seemed especially well suited to my poem because my theme revolves around peace and rest after hard work. For instance, in this line, where I wrote the sentence, "Even the dog has run himself to sleep," you can see that I hesitated several times as I got words down on the page, and this was me taking time to get a feel for where to break the line. Though this is something a poet who has written a lot of free verse can often do by just sensing what seems best, there's almost always good reason behind that choice. Here, I broke the line after "has run himself," which both emphasizes that the effort he's given is self-focused, and draws greater emphasis on the phrase "to sleep" that begins the next line, which increases the focus on the rest. As I often do, I struggled with some of the wording toward the end of the poem. My pace of writing slowed down a lot, if you can believe it, and I struggled with the best way to set up the poem's main ideas as they were revealed in the end. I landed on asking a question, and this is a useful strategy that I find often helps move a poem that's stagnating in an interesting direction. If the question isn't kind of blandly rhetorical, and if you can involve the reader a little bit and at least vaguely wondering about the answer, it can help the poem do something new and a little more interesting. Here, I decided to immediately follow the question with my answer, but I do wonder if the poem might not be better served by ending on the question without providing the response I do, so you can comment on that if you've got an opinion. As I moved into the answer, I was tempted to get more hypothetical than literal. The question kind of begged a thematically driven answer, and that started to lead me down a path of using vague nouns like burdens and referencing vague ideas like easy. A few lines in, I decided this was a mistake and that I needed to keep the poem as concrete as possible. So I struck a lot of unnecessary and vague wording and tried to turn the poem back toward the concrete details I started with. I even took a moment to read back through what I had written and added a line up above that seemed missing. This helpfully led me back toward one of the opening images of the poem, and I was pretty satisfied with this ending because it ties the beginning and end together in a way that makes it seem like I planned this whole thing, which is always gratifying and makes me feel like maybe I know what I'm doing after all. So that's it. Here's the first draft of May Inventory, written in about 24 minutes on May 30th, 2021. May inventory. Scrolling, I pause on a friend's pic. A green catalpa tree now banked with white drifts of flowers, the ground beneath frosted with the fallen, deep-throated blooms. I lay my phone face down. Outside my own window, the oak has shed 10 million seedy threads among the blades of silky grass over the cloudy heads of dandelions. For the first time in months, every book is on its shelf, pens resting in drawers, leaves of paper stacked in neat reams chronologically. Beneath the bare counter, the dishwasher hums. In the oak's thickest low branches, a squirrel rests, tail flicking like a whip before curling to rest at his back. And I rest, tired feet propped on the table, tired hands thumbing dog-eared pages of poetry, and even the dog has run himself to sleep. Dusk falls, with a light rain that drums the sky-high oak leaves so softly the ground beneath stays dry. Its scent in my nostrils is the breath of life, springing green and glossy from Earth's rocky crust. All this year I've been sprinting. For what? Only this peace, this quiet, this release of green twilight. Loveliness purchased in winter striving toward the spring. Rest of the tree that has sown every seed. Thanks for watching this episode of Ars Poeticat. If you enjoyed watching poetry happen, please like and subscribe. Then go make some art.